Hey, hello. Brenda Hillard here at createwithbrenda.com. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I work out of North Central Minnesota. So anyway, welcome to another episode of Create with Brenda. And today I have a very fun project for us, which uses the sentiment, I love you. This is so cute with just the little swirl of a heart. I love you from the Happy and Heartfelt. And this can be found in the January through June mini catalog. And then we're also going to be using the Daffodil Daydream bundle. So we'll be using this stamp, the butterfly, and then this border stamp. And I'm going to give you some tips with the Stamparatus for this too. In fact, I did this for a swap card, so the Stamparatus came in very, very handy for this one. So the Daffodil Daydream is in the, let's find the cover for you, is in the January through June mini. Looks like this, and it's on page 37. The other thing I wanted to point out is that all of the dies, when I say all of them, there is a lot of dies in this pack. So they all fit in the mini Stamp and Cut and Emboss. And that, my friends, is going to be going on special starting March 1st. So be watching my newsletter. I'll give the details for the sale price on the mini. And then also there's some sale bundles that will be included that fit with the mini. So be watching for that. And if you've been thinking about getting one, now is the time. I'll be also publishing my March host code. It's hard to believe, isn't it, that it's already going to be March? But I will put that newsletter out on early Tuesday with my new host code and then marking the specials for the mini Stamp and Cut and Emboss. So anyway, let's get started with our project today. What I have is the card I'm going to do for you was inspired by one of my demonstrator friends. And of course, you change it up a bit, but I loved this daffodil bouquet. I loved the I love you that I just showed you out of the Happy and Heartfelt. And then I used my Stampin' Blends and this beautiful pale papaya woven ribbon, along with the tailored made tag dies. So let's give you the measurements and the supplies. Using my cutting template, and these can be found at Create with Brenda. You can download the labels. You cut them once and then you just refer to them for your layouts. So when I was doing the layout for this card, I decided the size I wanted to use for the daffodil so that it fit was 4.5 by 3 3/4. And then I wanted something with just the little tiny border around. So I went to from my 1/4 inch templates to my 1/8 inch increment templates. And that's how I decided on these sizes. Okay. So what I did is I cut a piece of Pool Party that measures 4.5 by 3 3/4. And then I cut a piece of Old Olive that measures 4 5/8 by 3 3/8. So these cutting templates come in really handy when you're designing your cards and also when you're cutting them out. The other thing I have is a piece of thick basic white cardstock, and this measures 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And then I have a medium envelope. Okay. You're going to need some scrap pieces of the thick Whisper White. And what you're going to do with those is you're going to be die cutting I'm just going to bring these in so you can see them. I'm not going to die cut all of this because there's a lot I want to show you with the Stamparatus. But I die cut these pieces just like that. I die cut the butterfly just like that. And then with this scrap piece of thick basic white, I'm just going to die cut one of the, this comes from the tailored made tag dies. So you can do the square corners, you can do the scallop corners, and then they have these cute little, I forget what they're called, kind of like reinforcers that you can do in the same color or different colors. So I'll show you here in just a minute what we're going to be doing with those. Let me bring in the adorable Stampin' Cut and Emboss Mini. And there's a plate system for this as well, which is all spelled out on your plate here. So I'm going to do plate number 1. I'm going to do cutting plate number 2, my piece of cardstock, and then I've chose this size tag. And then I'm going to just take a small piece of this pale papaya cardstock, and using the, I want this shaped reinforcer. I'm just going to lay that down there, and then I will. Now, let's talk about this a little bit. If you have the mini and you have trouble cutting, it's because you're not staggering your plates. If you stagger your plates, they wheel right through and they cut very nicely. The difference about the mini versus the standard, the regular sized Stampin' Cut and Emboss, is this entrance is just a little over 3 inches, where the standard is just a little over 6 inches. And in the standard, you don't have to stagger the plates like this, but in the mini, you do. Okay, I'm going to lift up. And you can see that it cuts out 3 of these little reinforcers at one time. All right, so I'm just going to lay those here for now. And let's check out our tag here. Look at how cute these tags are, you guys, with the stitching. I'm going to set that up there. And I wanted to save this piece because I'm going to show you how to set up your Stamparatus. I personally have sold a lot of the Stamparatuses. People love them. Even though they already have a stamp positioner, the Stamparatus really is by far superior to the others out there on the market. And one of the big features about it is the open sides. So you can have really any size cardstock and position pretty much anywhere on the paper. Okay, so let me show you this part first. I'm going to bring in this plate so you can see it. Is what I want to do is I'm going to, this is how you set up your, you put your stamps that you're going to be using on the clear acrylic plate. I inked that up. I put my mat, you know, just my little paper mat in here, and I'm going to stamp so that I have the outline of each of these 3 stamps, okay? Then, when I did the die cut for this daffodil piece, I saved my piece of paper, and is what I'm going to do is just line up this template for, or the, oh, what am I trying to call it? Your negative image from die cutting. And I just want to put that right on. And because I had so many pieces, I'm using this repositionable tape or low tack tape. And because I'm on camera and doing it sideways, I'm not going to get it the first time through. But when you do a lot of cards, or you're making a large quantity of cards, this really, really is a lifesaver. And I'll show you here in just a minute. I'm going to have to turn this so that I can get it the way I want it. I'm going to put this right down here. And I'll tell you something about this too. So now that I've moved it, people are like, oh no, you shouldn't have moved it. But before I moved it, I made sure that I had everything tight in the corners here on my grid paper, okay? Then I'm going to take my tag, because I'm going to be stamping the I love you on my tag. So I'm just going to position that where I want that to stamp on my tag. And then the butterfly. All right, where's my little stencil piece for that one? It's right here. I'm just going to center up the butterfly and the cutout. Okay, so now my template is ready. So is what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this in here. I'm going to lay this here. And I'm going to put this in here. All right. I'm going to ink it up again. The daffodil, the I love you, and the butterfly. And now I'm going to stamp. Just want to make sure that those little puzzle pieces are right where they're supposed to be. And you can see that I have got, let me get my, take your pick tool. I can pop this up right where I want it on the tag. I can pop this up, and looks like my daffodil might have slipped a little bit, but I think we're okay. All right. So then I'm just going to take my chamois, my Simply Chamois, and I want to clean those stamps because I'm going to leave them on there. I said I'm doing many of these cards, so I'm just going to leave it positioned like it is. And for this border stamp, I'm going to be using, I'm going to scoot it over so you can see it just a little bit better. I'm going to be using Old Olive on there. I'm going to take our 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inch piece of Pool Party. And I just want to put this, I'm going to line it up with the 2-inch mark here and right along the line so that it's straight. I'm going to ink it up with the Old Olive. I'm going to stamp. And then I'm just going to scoot this up to the 1 1/4 inch mark, keeping it right along the black line. I'm going to ink it up again using the Old Olive ink, and I'm going to stamp again. So now I get this pretty piece to put on the front of our card. And before I clean this part up, I want my medium basic white envelope. The flap is here. So where I put my name tag, I'm going to lay this down. And I'm just going to put it like at the 4 1/4 along the line. And those measurements will change depending upon where you place your border stamp, but you'll see how to line it up by me doing this. So 4 1/4. I'm nice and straight on the line. I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to stamp. And now I have a perfectly decorated envelope to match my card. I'm going to move this away for right now. I hope this helped you, showing you how to line up your Stamparatus stamp positioner. All right, so I'm going to close up my inks because that's really it for stamping right now until we decide what we want for our sentiment. So let's bring this in. And when you color with Stampin' Blends, you always want to have something underneath because the alcohol inks do blend through your bleed through the back or the back of your paper, and you want to just protect your work surface. Okay, so with the light pale papaya and the brush end, I'm just going to color the butterfly, and I'm going to color the daffodil flowers. Okay. Then I want to take the dark pale papaya, and I'm going to use that paintbrush end again, and I'm just going to go over the lines from the stamped image. It just kind of helps me decide or where to add the shadows or the blending, the darker color. Okay. And then one more time, I'm going to go over it with the light just to blend it in and make them look a little richer, a little fuller. And these blends are pretty fun. It's just a really light touch. And you can see how kind of quickly you can go along to add color. Then I'm going to take my light Old Olive and using the brush tip again, I'm just going to color in the leaves. I like that. We'll take the dark Old Olive, and again, I'm going to use that paintbrush end. And I'm just going to add, did you see I switched up to the bullet? I just want to go on the right side of each of these long stems, kind of shadowing, giving it a little bit of color. And like I said, with these, you don't need to be exact. They really do blend nicely. The only thing then that I want to color still is I'm going to take the dark pale papaya. I'm going to use the bullet end, and I'm going to color in the little heart on my sentiment. And I'm going to switch it out to the paintbrush end because I just want this to have little darker tips on its wings. And I'll give that little heart just a little more color too. All right, we're getting close. I'm going to take the Wink of Stella and I'm going to add that to my daffodils. We'll just make it look like they're just popping open in the morning and there's still dew, sparkly dew on our daffodils. Okay. So our next step is going to be just to add a little bit of liquid adhesive on the end of our tag. And I'm going to put on this little pale papaya, the coordinating reinforcement on the tag. Isn't that cute? These tags are adorable. All right. Now to assemble our card. I'm going to bring back in our pool party piece. I'm going to add some Stamp and Seal to the back. And then we'll be putting that onto our old olive. This is the one that measured 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. So just that little skinny border. I'm going to bring in our daffodils. You take your pick tool and I want our full size dimensionals. I'm just going to put one in the middle and one at the bottom. Take our backings off. I'm going to place that right here in the center. And our tag, I love you tag. Now on this tag, I'm just going to put in a dimensional on each end of the tag, like right, you don't want to cover that hole, but just 2 of them, so you leave it open in the middle, because what we're going to do is we're going to span that across the stems. Okay. Then our adorable little butterfly that we colored, I'm going to bring in a glue dot and add that to the back of our butterfly. I'm going to lay that right here on the corner of our tag, pop up the wings a little bit. So my valley fold is here, so that goes to the outside of our card. And give that a good crease. I'm going to add some Stamp and Seal to our focal spot, focal piece, centerpiece, whatever you want to call it. And add that to the front of our card. Isn't it pretty? This pool party and old olive together are just stunning. All right, then we have our beautifully coordinated, color coordinated ribbon. This is the pale papaya and white woven ribbon. And is all I'm going to do literally is tie a knot, just like that. Then I'm going to take my ribbon scissor. You want a really sharp scissor for this ribbon so that it doesn't fray. You can see it frays. That can be a good thing too. You can actually work that into your design. Then I'm going to take a couple more of my glue dots, add those here, and then press this down. Then I can rearrange my little tails however I want them. So there's our card. And remember, we have the pretty coordinating envelope. I hope you'll check out the Daffodil Bundle in the January to June mini, and also be sure to take a look at the Happy and Heartfelt sentiment set too. It's amazing. All right, you guys, there's our card. I do want to share, there is only like today is the last day to celebrate. And I do have a monthly host code that I'm going to pop on right here. You'll see it right there in the middle. If your order is under $150, please go ahead and add this host code to your order. You will always receive a card from me when you order with me. And then each month I offer a host code special or host code gift too. So check that out at createwithbrenda.com. Have a great day. Don't miss out on Sale-a-Bration. Like I said, midnight Mountain Time tonight is the last chance to place your order. Have a great day. Bye-bye.